Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Thanks God that today we can joining in the first PIM virtual informal meeting in via Zoom. The PIM is monthly agenda organized by Minda Masagi Suci Foundation in collaboration with ASPENSI, International Association for Historian and History Education in Bandung, West Java, Indonesia. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, one of the mottos of ASEAN, Association of Southeast Asian Nations, is sharing and caring. It is meaning that the members of ASEAN, including us, should be care and share in whatever matters, including, I think, in ideas, program, experiences, and finding in academic field. Today, Saturday on 18 September 2021, we will sharing and caring in academic matters by firstly listening Professor Dr. Din Wahyudin presentation with the topic curriculum and MBKM, Merdeka Belajar dan Kampus Merdeka in Indonesian Language, meaning learning freedom and independent campus, new education policy in Indonesia. Secondly, having listened the presentation, we will share and care also by responding from the representative countries, namely from Malaysia, Brunei Darussalam, Philippines, Japan, and Nigeria. Each responding from the representative briefly in 5 minutes maximum. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, as an introduction, Professor Dr. Din Wahyudin is a lecturer at the Faculty of Education, UPI, Indonesia University of Education in Bandung. He is expertise in curriculum field in general and curriculum in Indonesia in particular. He is currently very concerned in curriculum development due to it is usually or commonly and hard fact in Indonesian political culture that every changing the Minister of Education in Indonesia, they are also changing in education policy that implicated to curriculum reform in educational field. Well, Professor Dr. Din Wahyudin, time is yours for presentation in 5 minutes, please.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Andi, the Director of Minda Masagi. Good morning. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh to all. Pak Haji Tasim, Mr. Jose Ocampo, the Professor Jose Ocampo, Laura Ocampo, Mrs. Ocampo, Yuki Nakata, arigatou gozaimasu, good morning, and Ibu Suciati just coming, just joining with us.
Ya, assalamualaikum Pak.
It is really appreciation Minda Masagi, who has invited me to be the first person to present on informal discussion this morning. As Pak Andi has told us, it is informal discussion, and I prepare only one slide or 2 slides concerning with the hot issues it has been decided in this morning discussion. May I share screen, Pak Andi? Yeah. Yeah, here is the topic I will present, discuss with you. Curriculum and MBKM, Learning Freedom and Independent Campus as a new educational policy in Indonesia. I start with the definition of curriculum in according to the law number 12, 2011, section 35. So according to this regulation, a higher education curriculum is a set of plan and arrangement of goal, content, and material of teaching and how they are used as the basis of learning activities to achieve the higher education. Yeah, I intend to present this definition in order it is our main discussion for this brief presentation. I start with definition because this definition is not come from individual expert. If I try to develop what is curriculum, maybe someone cannot be agree with this statement. But if definition come from the law as regulation, I think it should be compulsory to be implemented, because it is not just a definition from any expert, but it is given from the government, from the regulation. Nah, that is why when we conduct MBKM or learning freedom or independent campus, in my opinion, it should be start with what is the curriculum itself. According to this regulation, at least when we are conduct of a new policy concerning with learning freedom and independent campus, actually how we plan and implement curriculum. Now, according to the regulation, a set of plan, I think it is necessary every university, every individual lecturer should plan and make a good arrangement of what they are going to teach. So in terms of curriculum in macro level as well as in micro level, is it necessary to have a plan and to have arrangement? At least there are four, should be considered when we are going to plan and arrangement included in we are going to implement MBKM. First, concerning with goal, concerning with objective, concerning with what competencies shall gain by our student in the program related with the program provided by university. Secondly, what content should be provided by individual lecturer as well as by university in order in conducting the curriculum. In our university, all the lecturer are compulsory to prepare RPS. Jadi RPS itu instructional planning. Apa itu namanya learning program, ya, learning program should be done during one semester. And the third one is delivery system. How the program should be given in a proper way, in what method, in what strategy, whether during pandemic, let's say in Indonesia during pandemic, mostly using the program with online program, so indirect teaching learning activities. And the third one, the last one, concerning with assessment. So when we are talking about MBKM in terms of curriculum perspective, at least we necessary to develop the proper goal, the proper objective, what competencies should be assessed. Secondly, we should carefully select what content is necessary to support teaching learning activities, to support learning objective by student. And the third one concerning with delivery system. What method, what strategy, what medias shall be used, especially in the era of modern countries, by using Internet of Things or big data, something like that. And the last one concerning with assessment, even a very simple period, individual lecturer shall prepare a kind of assessment in order to have information concerning with what student has been got in terms of learning activities they have attended. Nah, and that's all about the curriculum. Nah, related with independent learning, free and independent campus, we can see this this slide in I mean, let's say the first one concerning with goal competencies, as I have informed. So when we are talking goal and competencies, it consists with objective, it consists of graduate profile, competencies should be gained, and learning outcome. So all effort in the first step is preparing and developing the goal and graduate profile. Now, the second one, essential content. I think essential content is very important things because we should also look carefully, decide carefully what essential content shall be given during formal teaching learning activities. In every school, from primary school to higher university, for instance, higher education, essential content should be decided carefully in order content that directly develop competencies, content that directly support for having four say, that is the 21st century skills. Let's say in 4C, concerning with communication, collaboration, creativity, and what's the last one? Creativity and critical thinking. So the point is the content should be chosen that directly support for student having a good communication, student be able to be a collaborative people, and student who has creativity and critical thinking. Now, in our Indonesian system today, every teachers start with thinking how to support higher order thinking skill. The second one, the third one, delivery system, as I have discussed. It concerns with the proper method, the strategy of learning shall be given during teaching learning in the classroom, or it is done outside of the classroom, because during MBKM, students are able to attend the class in his or her own department in the university, as well as having experience out of the other university, out of his campus themselves. It is delivery system. And the third one, the last one, about assessment. So I think for discussing concerning with MBKM and component of curriculum, I think we can see in this slide. So for discussion, I think it is enough. And then let's we see what happened in other country, let's say in Malaysia, in Brunei Darussalam, or in Japan's. Are there any significant policy in order to develop teaching learning activities in school as well as in higher education in university, in preparing young generation to be able and mastering competencies they are hopefully survive in the new era, in the 21st century skill. Thank you very much, Pak Kang Andi. Terima kasih.
Okay, thank you very much, Prof. Din Wahyudin. Pak Esa, please close the share screen. Pak Esa. Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, we have listened Professor Dr. Din Wahyudin presentation. Now we will sharing and caring also how about the curriculum development or education policy currently in each country. Maybe what is let's be comparing or benchmark about the curriculum or education policy from Brunei Darussalam, from the Philippines, from Japan, and so on and so forth. We will what is still waiting other participants from Malaysia and from Nigeria. I would like to give opportunity to making the brief comment respectively from the representative. Maybe from Brunei Darussalam, Dr. Haji Tasim, any comment or any what is brief explanation about the curriculum and educational policy in Brunei Darussalam? Please, Doctor, in 5 minutes.
Okay. No, Okay, I didn't too much to discuss about this because the person is suitable for me. So Prof. Asbol actually at this time he was not in to join us. So for me, just only say that our education system in Brunei is before until now we have the SPN 21, the latest one. So no all the students either in the lower primary, secondary, they have their own policy in sistem pendidikan abad 21. So I cannot bring it here because this is first time I interact with Dr. Andy. So I don't know, maybe it is at some time we can discuss about this one. Okay, I cannot make it full description about this one. Okay, we said thanks very much to Prof. Den. It's a good presentation, very well done. Okay, and then also congratulations to him. But I want just like to know how did this the goal in the objective, how to achieve this goal and objective with the I didn't familiar with the MBKM, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, that's all what I want to ask. Thank you so much. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Tasim. Probably maybe the answer is later because I would like to what is a search about the other comment or what is I think I would like to invite the representative from the Philippines. Maybe there's the brief comment or explanation about the curriculum or education policy in the Philippines. Please, Professor Laura Ocampo.
Okay. Dr. Andy Suwaita, the organizer and moderator of this event, our panelists, Professor Din Wahyudin of UPI, and other participants. First of all, a pleasant day to all of you. You were talking about, as I got the message from my husband, I just want to say that learning freedom and independent campus as a new policy in Indonesia is not new in the Philippines. Even before the pandemic, some colleges and universities have been implementing this in order to cater to the needs of different students. Students who are in the performing arts like ballet dancers, theater actors and actresses, athletes, also the physically challenged, and many others may opt to have some what we call homeschooling or distance learning. They enroll to a university, but they study or learn at their own pace. They are issued modules that they have to accomplish on their own pace also. And when they are ready to take the tests, they inform the school, college, or university. Once they pass, they go to the next level. So that's basically what happens. Now, there are some skills that have to be developed by these students in order to succeed in learning independently. These skills have been developed both by, or should have been developed by, teachers as well as the parents at a young age. So during this time of pandemic, these skills proved to be of utmost necessity because students are forced to study on their own when parents or guardians have to go to work and they are left to study at home. So the Department of Education in the Philippines has given parents two options for their children to study, either modular or online. These are the options that most parents have to decide on. Before classes started this school year, there were surveys given to parents asking them what learning mode they would want to consider for their children. If they have internet connection, they are given devices like tablets and support on loads. Those who are none opted to have modules. So modules are like handouts with complete content and activities for students to do on their own, or with the guidance of their parents or guardians. And these modules are also taken back to the school. There are dates where they have to, specific days where they have to bring back all these accomplished modules so that the teachers can also check and give feedback. And regarding the, I would like to talk about the DepEd order in the Philippines. We have the interim guidelines for assessment and grading in the light of the Basic Education Learning Continuity Plan. So the Department of Education Secretary mandated or decided to have this Basic Education Learning Continuity Plan in the light of what's happening today. The rationale involves this COVID-19 brings about unprecedented challenges to basic education. Teachers and parents must adapt to alternative learning modalities, ensure learners to achieve essential curricular goals, and design optimal learning experiences and assessing learning progress effectively. So under distance learning environment, it is necessary to utilize alternative tools and strategies for assessing and supporting learning. So that's just what I have mentioned a while ago. And this is implemented by public elementary and secondary schools nationwide, starting school year 2020 to 2021 and until at present, 2021-2022. So private schools and institutions are permitted to modify these policy guidelines with the approval of their respective DepEd regional office. So of course, all these have guidelines that must be followed by the different schools. So teachers have to design the assessment for flexibility in multiple modalities, and the supervisors must be checking and monitoring all of this. They set up mechanisms to monitor and record progress remotely. They also facilitate remediation for learners who need further guidance. So for the learners, there's a self-monitoring tool, may be accomplished independently or with assistance of their parent or guardian. So I have actually a whole presentation on this DepEd order, but we only have 5 minutes, so that's what I have to share with you all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Laura. I think it is valuable information from the Philippines. I think the similar situation or condition with Indonesia and maybe other countries in the pandemic, what is in the COVID-19 pandemic. Thank you for your information and for explanation. Okay, the last maybe we will listen about the brief comment or what is share ideas and experience from Japan, representative from Japan, Dr. Yuki Nakata. Maybe can give us the short information about the curriculum or educational policy in Japan in the COVID-19 pandemic. Dr. Yuki, have you listened my question? Hello, Dr. Yuki? Dr. Yuki Nakata?
Okay.
Okay. Please make the brief comment or brief explanation related to the curriculum or education or whatever what Dr. Yuki want to explain or want to share with us.
Okay. In Japan, higher education institutions, actually not my major my major research topics, but now in Japan also online classes start. It starts with this pandemic. However, the current situation is that face-to-face classes are still required whenever possible. But now most of them are online in higher education because it is considered as emergency situation now. But from elementary school to high school, dari SD sampai SMA, even during the pandemic, we take care of masks and social distances, and we do lecture, they studied it face to face. And I wonder if the importance of wearing masks and being careful for social distances and conducted classes face to face will ever be discussed in Indonesia, Malaysia, and other countries. Thank you.
Okay, Dr. Yuki Nakata, thank you very much for your information. I think it is the condition, the situation also similar. Okay, back to the question from Dr. Haji Tasim. Prof. Din, I think Dr. Tasim has the question for you. Please, maybe you will answer in brief also answer.
Okay. Thank you, Pak Tim. What I mentioned, it is in general formulation that in every planning and implementing of curriculum, it shall consist of 4 dimensions or 4 elements. Gitu ya. What you are asking about the first element, goal, gitu ya, objective shall be achieved. It is the 4 components are interrelated. Saling mempengaruhi ya, interchange. So when we have when we have developed a goal, is it necessary we look for the formula, what content should be developed? In terms of content, it means what kind of book, what kind of module shall be developed, or are there any additional learning resources should be developed by individual teachers or team? That is one point. Secondly, concerning with delivery system. let's say during the pandemic of COVID-19, mostly delivery system, we are in direct teaching learning, not face-to-face communication. It means that the content that has been prepared by teachers should be think carefully in what way the content should be implemented. What kind of media? It should be a proper media. It is necessary by using indirect teaching learning activities. It is one challenge also for individual lecturers, as mentioned by Mrs. Laura also. It is necessary for collaboration between teachers and parents, collaboration between individual teacher with the community, that students are able to learn under the guidance on the parents, especially in primary and secondary level, because otherwise it will make learning of loss come bigger. The gap between the goal that shall be achieved with the reality, the achievement of student is just a question. That is long. The learning competencies, I mean, learning loss is happen. I think the point like this. And the third one, the last one concerning with assessment. What kind of assessment that's proper in order to see whether the goal it is achieved or not, whether there is a learning loss or not, whether are they finding deficit competencies or yes or not. It is depend on what assessment, what method that the student, the teacher prepare. Because assessment during let's say COVID period, for instance, it is very unique. Some assignment done by the student, it is actually might be parent do it, might be in some cases parent do it. So if we give a high grade for this work, actually it is not reflect to the progress, the achievement of student, because in some cases in Indonesia, for instance, many homework, many assignment, it is because of the support of parent. Might be parent do it on behalf of the student. So it is, we should be carefully concerning with this case. That is why it is necessary for us to select the material, the proper material, proper method, and then to select, even it is in not face-to-face content, what should be a proper step, even we using, let's say, Zoom system like this. Because if it is no preparation, sometimes we do not know exactly what the real reality of the achievement has been gained by the student. Thank you again, Pak Tasim. A nice question. And Laura, I learned much from country and from Nakata also. I learned much of what happened in the strategy of teaching learning, especially during pandemic period. We agree, in some cases, learning loss is coming. In some cases, competencies are decreasing, gitu ya. Jadi ada defisit kompetensi. But we hope learning loss not too much, gitu ya. It is a little bit learning loss. The effort that can be done by the teachers is how we prepare learning activities in a proper way. Is using indirect dalam direct using internet, for instance. I think I think that's all I will answer. Thank you very much, Pak Andi, brothers from all participants here.
Thank you, Prof. Din Wahyudin. What is for answering from the Dr. Haji Tasim question. Ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, the delegation or representative from Malaysia and from Nigeria not yet joining us. Maybe there's the problem in the internet or maybe in electricity. So we have been sharing and caring in academic matters, particularly in talking about the curriculum development and education policy in each country, particularly from Brunei Darussalam, from the Philippines, and from the Japan. I will not make the big conclusion due to each speaker is very clear in sharing and carrying the information related to the curriculum development and education policy currently for each country. I think this spiritual meeting is designed in a short time, not too long time, maybe in 30 minutes, 1 hour it is enough. And all our speaking here is recorded so that, and also will available in the YouTube channel. So we will watch on our what is a spiritual meeting today. What I want to also sharing and caring here is about our month agenda. I think virtual informal meeting via Zoom. I think for October 2021 agenda, Dr. Haji Tasim, are you ready for presenting something based on your expertise about the Kampung Air, maybe?
Inshallah, let's see first.
Okay, in 15 minutes, I think it's enough. How about the history of Kampung Air as the what is nice destination in Brunei Darussalam and others maybe? Please you prepare for sharing and caring about the Brunei culture in what is in virtual meeting. And so the speaker for the next month, October, is Dr. Haji Tasim bin Haji Abu Bakar from UBD, University Brunei Darussalam. Okay, it is also important to note here that it is based on the suggestion or recommendation from Dr. Jose Ocampo of the Philippines. Professor Ocampo said that he suggests that our name, virtual informal meeting monthly, maybe should be changed to the Mindamas lecture series. Mindamas is abbreviation from Minda Masagi Suci as the foundation. And terminology or word of panelists should be also be changed to word speaker. According to Professor Ocampo in the Philippines, the word informal or meeting had no point in people qualification. So due to also we will get the certificate of participation from this agenda. I think Professor Ocampo's suggestion or recommendation is very valuable. Selamat po, terima kasih banyak Professor Ocampo from your suggestion and for your recommendation. And also thanks so much to Madam Ocampo, Professor Laura Ocampo for what is your valuable information, including from Dr. Yuki Nakata and Dr. Tasim. Long time not meet all of you in Bandung, right? Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, we will ending the virtual meeting now. We will meet again, inshallah, in October 2021 with different topic. Dr. Haji Tasim will sharing and caring about the Brunei culture, particularly maybe in the history of Kampung Air and so on. Hopefully all of you good in heart and very well. Best regard and warmest regard from Bandung. Terima kasih. Selamat po. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Andi, thank you. Pak Tasim, thank you very much.
Sama-sama.
Madam Laura Ocampo, Profesor
Yes,
Jose
sir.
Ocampo, Ibu Suciati, thank you very
Thank
much.
you, thank you,
Ya,
thank you.
terima kasih. Sama-sama.
Okay. We can
Ibu-
live from Zoom meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sensei Yuki Nakata, thank you very much. Arigato gozaimasu, Sensei.
Thank you,